Hello everyone. I have a survey with 3 questions which asked 50 customers about their experience shopping with a business's online store. Each question is rated using a 5-point scale and answers range from strongly disagree to strongly agree. Each response also has a numerical value assigned to it. I then took the customer's answers and calculated an average, a number for each question. Using this information, I created this horizontal bar graph that shows the questions and average response. What makes this graph different is that on the horizontal axis, it has labels that include text. The axis shows the words strongly disagree to strongly agree and its score. I'm going to show you on the next tab how the usual approach to making graphs does not work for this type of graph. As Excel users, what we would start doing is creating a table like this with our questions and survey responses. We would then highlight the table, go to Insert, hit the bar icon, and hit this clustered bar, which will give us this graph. Along the horizontal axis, we have our numbers, but there's no way to edit the axis to include the labels that we want. These are the labels that we want to include. It only allows us to work with numbers. We can also see that the questions are listed in the wrong order. Let's start on a new tab. I'm going to create our main table with our questions and average responses. So in my first column will be the survey questions, and I'm going to list them in reverse order. Next, let's create a column for our average responses. Using our main table, we're going to create a horizontal clustered bar chart. So we're going to select the first 2 columns, go to Insert, select the bar icon, and select our clustered bar. We now have our first bar graph with the questions now in the correct order. Let's also make our x-axis to scale and have it range from 1 to 5. I'm going to right-click the axis, select Format Axis. Under Axis Options, for the minimum, let's set it to 1, which is our lowest rating of strongly disagree. For the maximum, let's set it to 5, which is the highest rating you can have of strongly agree. We're also going to have our major units go up by 1, because from strongly disagree to strongly agree, our ratings increase by an interval of 1. We're now going to create a second table, which will give us our x-axis labels. I'm going to call it our dummy table. Under the labels column, we will list out our labels that will include both the text and the number. We're now going to create our dummy column. Since our rating scale ranges from 1 strongly disagree to 5 strongly agree, we want to pick any number from 1 to 5. I'm going to pick 2. You can really pick any number as long as it's one of your survey response values. Next, we're going to highlight our table, copy it, select the first graph we made by clicking on it. Under the paste icon, we're going to select this little arrow, select Paste Special. Under Add Cells As, we're going to select New Series, and we're also going to select Series Names in first row. Everything else stays the same. Hit OK. On our graph, we now see the dummy values. The orange bars are now plotted. With the dummy values, I'm going to change them from a horizontal bar graph to vertical columns. So I'm going to select one of the dummy bars, which will select all the orange bars. We're going to go to Insert, select the bar icon, and select clustered columns. Now that we've plotted our dummy values and made them vertical, we next want to bring in our x-axis labels. So we're going to select the graph that we made. Under chart design, chart layouts, and add chart element. Under axis, we're going to select secondary vertical. The labels have now been plotted, but they're not in the right position. I'm going to now bring these labels down to the bottom. To do this, we're going to select the secondary vertical axis, the axis on the right. I'm going to right click it, format axis, and we're going to change under horizontal axis crosses, we're going to change from the maximum axis value to automatic. This now brings our labels down to the bottom. We can now remove the previous labels that we had. So with this x-axis from before, I'm just gonna click on it and then hit delete. And then we also don't need the right vertical axis labels. So I'm just gonna select it and then hit delete. Now what I wanna do is hide the dummy bars. I'm going to right click on one of the bars, under fill, select no fill. Right now, we can also see that our labels are not in the right positions. From what we had before, we had the strongly disagree starting at where the horizontal and vertical axis intersect. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the axis, hit format axis. Under axis position, we're going to change from between tick marks to on tick marks. This is a personal preference, but I want my score label and my text label to be on separate rows. So what you're going to do is double click between the text and number. So you're going to double click where you want the new row to start. So I'm going to double click here between the strongly disagree and 1, hold down Alt and hit enter. Click on an empty cell. Double click, hold the Alt button, hit enter, hit an empty cell. Hold down the Alt button, hit enter, click on an empty cell. From our graph from before, we also had data labels for each of the bars. So I'm just going to right click on one of the bars, add data labels. Our graph is complete. Now it's just more of the design side. You can really pick the font, color, and size that you want. Customize it to the way you want it to look. So that's the end of my video. I hope you found it helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.